blew the business up. I blew it up. We were back up. It was at the time when I came in, it was my dad and three, four other guys. Within a year, we were up to about 15 guys. This was in 2013. By 2017, I turned it into a $5 million a year business.
Hey Jake, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm doing well. Thanks for joining another episode of the Service Call Podcast. We're excited to have you on here and Fresh Start Painting. We're going to talk a little bit about your business, about the industry. I know how busy you are running a successful painting business in New Jersey there. So this will be really relaxed, conversational. Like we talked about, for any new followers here, the idea behind the service call is just to highlight home service leaders. How you're adapting, how you're innovating, finding better ways to grow, and serving your customers. So would love, just as we get kicked off here, if you could explain or walk us through how you started Fresh Start. What's your origin story? How have you gotten to where you're at today as a successful and growing painting company there in New Jersey?
Okay, so I was actually kind of born into it. My father had a painting company. I was always involved in and out of it throughout. My dad always bringing me out to job sites when I was a kid, and always around the jobs, and then whenever I wasn't in school, I was always out in the field. I was always working. I was always, there was no such thing as playing hooky from school. Hooky from school meant, you're going unless you were dying in bed.
You're on the job.
um, if you weren't in school, you were on a job. You were on a job site. Um, so yeah, so that's pretty much how it all started.
When did you take over the business?
In 2013, so 12 years ago.
That's awesome. It's
Yeah.
we talk to a lot of businesses where they're family owned, right? And we think the baby boomer generation, they started a lot of home services businesses, and they've been able to create their own type of organization and brand and wealth. It's been cool to see this transfer of wealth a little bit, or transfer of business to this younger generation like us, where we have new ideas. We've been on the job forever. We know the business, but now it's the keys are kind of handed over to us. Like, oh man, we got to figure out how to run this thing, right?
Yeah, so I definitely had my ups and downs over the years. Um, you know, After 2008, when the market tumbled, my dad he kind of fell with the market because he was a very niche, um, high end residential, and in this market, nobody was looking at quality. Everybody was just looking at the bottom line cost
Lost.
of what it
Right.
was. So he was taking on jobs for a couple of years, and just he was losing money on every job. Um, so it was very hard. It was a very hard time. I was in school during that time. I was away in school for a couple of years, and I came back, and I was like in 2009, and I was like, I don't know if I want to get into this business because I just saw everything that was going on. I saw, the high from the craziness everything was in '05, 6, 7, and it just came to a peak. I mean, I was with my dad when the day the market crashed in September 2018. I was with my dad. I mean, I was there with him when he got the phone calls of people that saying, "I have no money to pay. uh, we're putting stopping work on our construction projects." I mean, it was pretty rough. I mean, at the time about he was running about 25, 30 guys at the time. And he was we were all over the place. Um, and I mean, I would start my day with him. There was a time that I was going around with him every single day. We would start our day, and we would go from where our base was, and we would be in the car all day, just going all the way up from down from the Jersey Shore all the way up to North Jersey, all the way back down. All like it was a whole. It was like it was a circuit that we had going on. And when the market crashed, it crashed hard. And I saw that. I'm like, I don't want. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want this. It
Mhm.
was like that was my thought. Like I don't want this. I got to find something else to do.
What
So
changed your mind?
so in which I did. I found my thing. I had a business. I wound up selling the business I was in, and I had was at the time I was 24 years old. 23, yeah, I was 24 years old. I had money in my pocket, and I decided I sold my business in May. I decided I was going to go take the summer off and just chill. Well, going to the beach and playing golf every day got old real quick.
We pretend it wasn't. It won't, but it does, huh? We get bored. Yeah.
Yeah. When all my other friends, they were either just graduating law school, or they were, they were working, or whatever it was. I was just, I wasn't I was just hanging around. So I wound up, I started, all right, let me get into it. I started doing power. I started power washing. I started doing all these other things, ancillary things that was, kind of separated from what my father was doing. But then came to a point where I was I just like deep dove right in. So, and that's how I got back into it. That was in July 2013.
That's awesome. So did you take over the business from your dad, or did you start is Fresh Start your own brand that you spun up?
So I took over the business from my dad. I rebranded under Fresh Start Painting. I rebranded just to give it a new just to give it a new aura, a new name, a new everything. Originally, I was just gonna go focus on the lower end, like on the lower end field. My dad would do his, keep doing what he was doing, and then I said, no, 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 this isn't happening because anything I would get involved in, I was attached to him. So I said, okay, we're just going at this, and I just started running with it,
Love
and
it.
I blew the business up. I blew it up. We were back up. It was at the time when I came in, it was my dad and three, four other guys. Within a year, was back up to we were up to about 15 guys, and it was just from there. I mean, talking numbers, I turned it by this was in 2013. By 2017, I turned it into a $5 million a year business.
Incredible. What was the
Uh,
turning point, do you think, for that took that to the business to the next level? That's incredible success and growth.
the turning point was, I was just a dog going after everything I saw,
Yep.
and
Well, that grit found work.
I had a reputation and a name. So, in my area, I was the high end painter in my area. Um, and I didn't have much competition to what I was doing. So it was very organic. I didn't advertise a penny. There was zero advertisement. I never spent in that from 20 in that 4 or 5 year period. I spent $0 on advertisement.
Cool. So you really rebranded, kind of refreshed the brand. You found a niche of like we're going to go into high end interior painting. That's where we're going to lean in. That's where the money is for us, and we're going to go guns blazing. We're going to run as fast as we can at at this niche.
Correct. Correct. Now, if it wasn't for my dad, I mean, holding in the reins on me a lot more than it was, it because it all at a certain point it all came to a halt, and I just
Yep.
lost it. But my dad just he reined me in, and because I would have kept on pushing that we couldn't. I didn't have the infrastructure. It grew so big so fast. I didn't have the infrastructure. I didn't have the body to really, the foundation really to support it.
It's interesting you said that, because we with a lot of the people we talk to and help and even have on the podcast, they're running at too many things, right? I can use an HVAC company as an example, right? They are doing, service appointments. They're trying to sell plumbing services. They're trying to sell HVAC systems. They're doing a little bit of electrical work. They get to the point where they don't have a product offering that they can scale and it can be consistent, and they don't have the processes that they can repeat. So it's really impressive that you were able to do that. It allowed you to build that foundation that now you can grow and you can scale, and you can scale quickly. It's cool.
Yeah. So I mean, we so I scaled. So I learned there was the school of hard knocks. Definitely learned a lot. I made a lot of mistakes, but I learned a lot from my mistakes that I made.
That's
And
awesome. That's business ownership, huh? We just fail and fail again, and you figure it out. You solve one problem, and three more show up, and it's
yeah.
cool.
So I mean, I was lucky that in 2000 and I think it was in 2009. Yeah, it was in 2009. My dad had a client that had bought him this paint. It was only available in New York City at the time. It was only able to buy in New York City, and the homeowner was bringing it to my father. My father opened up the can of paint, and he's playing with it, and he goes, "This is like the paint used to be 20 years ago. Like it was pure. It was and it was Fine Paints Europe. Fine Paints Europe is known um, across the country, across the globe, as being one of probably the best paint on the market. Is the best paint on the market in my sense. I mean, it's the most washable, most durable. They are known for their high gloss. So, and doing real great high gloss work is something that you really have to know what you're doing. And I had spent a lot of time getting to perfecting it. Like I have one story. I walked into a house in 2013, 2014. We did this house, entire house. We did it all the trim, all the doors in the house, the crown moldings, all the millwork. We did in this high gloss paint. Um, this was it. I guess it was in 2019. We went back into the house. They did a renovation on the house, and um, they happened to have a leak in the house, and there was a bunch of things. And I walked into the house, and I called my father, and I'm like, "Dad, how the f do we have our name on this house?" He goes, "Whoa, relax." I'm like, and I'm yelling at him. I'm ashamed to having my name on this house. Da, 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 da. He goes, "Hold on 1 second." At the time, we were looking at it and we said how great it was, how amazing is. Now you're going back 4 or 5 years down the line and you're saying, how can we have our name on it? Just that just shows on how much you grew and how much you got better and how much you learned for you to be able to go back and say that.
I love it. Yep.
And I was like, "You're right." And it's just over the years, and it's the amount of prep work. It's the prep work that goes into it. It's the time. It's not just opening up the can of paint and just putting it on. It's what goes into it. It's the build. It's you know, the preparation, the sanding, the process of doing it to get that extreme high gloss car finish on doors and trim,
I think it's a cool story,
even walls
because
and ceilings.
I love it, and that applies to pain, where you have continued to evolve and improve your process and what you deliver to your customer, and your expectations for what you deliver and your product has continued to increase, and that's such a selling point for you and a differentiator, right, against competitors in the space, is that you continue to evolve. We see this a lot in this industry of businesses. Something that has worked for 20 years doesn't really work today, or may work today, but it's not working the way we want to grow or how we're going to grow, right?
Correct. That's all across the board. I mean, just in the ways of air control and air filtration, the machines that are available today, the spray machines, the guns, these are things that were 25 years ago. It wasn't something that was the norm. I mean, the even the way your regular everyday machines have, spray machines have come along, how they evolved, the spray tips, the everything, all the little things that go in it. As things technology changes and technology gets better, the applications and the way everything happens change. I mean, when I first came in, we had my dad had no idea about, the only thing we sprayed was primer on new homes. I mean, that was besides for that, we didn't spray really much. Today, everything was brush. Everything was brush. All our trim, all our doors, everything was brushed out. Um, Today, everything is sprayed. I mean, we're spraying we're spraying trim in 90% of our homes today. New construction homes, 90% of our new construction homes, we're spraying trim,
Yeah,
maybe more.
wild.
Compared to, it used to be all be brush. It used to be all be brush, and
You have to adapt.
it's
You have to evolve, right?
yeah,
As technology evolves, and
yeah.
that's kind of shifting. I think evolving your product and your offering that you're giving your customer is so huge and so important. And a lot of people fail to do so because they're afraid to get uncomfortable or they're afraid to to learn new things or new techniques on how they can deliver. Um, Shifting from kind of product delivery to more operational growth and scaling your business, every home service company, every company in general hits plateau points, right? Where they what's worked the last 3 or 4 years in
Oh yeah.
getting customers, getting leads, what jobs, that slows. So has there been what was a wall for you, and what did you think caused a certain plateau in your industry?
COVID changed everything. COVID changed everything, the way everything was done. I mean, even just the industry alone changed over COVID. It morphed, different way. During COVID, there was so much, like, from 2020 until 2024, things were just, there was a 3 4 year span of things were just, it was everybody was doing work, everybody was working, there was so much money going around. It was just everybody was building, it was it was nuts, it was absolutely nuts. um and I'm in a very, you know, in a niche area. I'm on the Jersey Shore. I have you know, most of the homes that I do they're summer homes. They're secondary homes.
High income, it's custom homes, and yeah.
Correct. And then there was a lot of things that started changing. Interest rates went shot up. Interest rates shot up. People weren't going. People the cost of products. Tariffs came in, and tariffs. Everybody started freaking out about tariffs, and um, there was a lot of different variables and things, and it was about a year ago, um, and I was putting in bids. I was just putting in bids, and I wasn't getting them. I was getting beaten out by other people. Constant. It was one after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next. And I called a mentor of mine, and I said, "What what am I doing wrong? Like, I keep on coming in. I'm giving pricing. I see where I am. I know where my competitors are, and then you have other people coming in that are, you know, 25, 30% cheaper." He said, and he told me, this is the sign of the times, where people aren't looking at who you are or whatever it is. People are just looking at the bottom dollar number right now,
And convenience.
and the convenience. So it's not even convenience. They're looking at the bottom, at the dollar amount. So if someone's coming in, let's say for example, on a house, you're coming in at $100,000, and someone else is coming in at $65,000, they're going with the guy for the 65
regardless
because
of quality or brand,
correct,
reputation.
regardless of the quality or whatever it is. And I said, that's true. And I saw that, and I started pivoting. I started, getting more into the commercial space. But then, things quickly, organically, all of a sudden it just came. Everything came in at once. It was like one of those. It was just like it's like, oh my god, everything came at the same time. Um, but everything worked out, and that was the greatest thing. But so things change. So you have to shift with the times of how things are, and now things are continuing to that trajectory of where it's people are looking at that bottom line number. You have guys that are coming in from other areas that are starving for work, um, are just coming in and just
Sure.
undercutting you for what it is. Now,
Yeah.
I had spent this past year, I had spent the exorbitant amount of money on social media marketing. Instagram. Instagram is, everybody, they're on Instagram. They're on Instagram, they're on TikTok. I'm not a big TikTok person. I refuse to download it onto my phones. I I know I know the how I can get lost in Instagram. I don't need something else that I can
Sure.
get lost in.
Sure.
It was like what we were saying earlier about LinkedIn. You can just get lost. You can just get lost in it.
Mhm.
So I just personally I keep it to Instagram, and I've been doing a lot of different things. Just going out there and just selling. Now, did I have to cut my prices back to a certain degree? Yes, I had to cut my prices back. Do I have to offer different types of packages to clients, giving them different options? This is level A, level B, level C. You also have to feel out the person that you're going to give the estimate. What are they looking for? Are they looking for, going there? You see the house that they're in. Are they looking for, you know, the market that they're in? I know a lot of my competition around. So, and I can see, especially when it comes to a repaint, I can see where, what their house has already been painted and how they are talking on how they want, if they're okay with the way it looks, if they're not okay with the way they look. They're complaining about certain things, certain the way the work was done in the house, and that's how to okay. So
Exactly.
this person, you manage their expectations pretty
Yep.
much, and you
Spot
see,
on.
okay, they're looking for ABC. I'm not going to go and giving them a lowball offer, offering them XYZ when that's I know that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for that higher end ABC, and that's it.
You hit
So
so many great points there, and I love it. And just to kind of reiterate, is we talk about plateaus, right? You saw, dang, I'm getting undercut, right? I need to change my approach. I can't go get the same. I can't just rely on high end quality, right? I think homeowners' expectations, consumers' expectations have changed a lot in the last few years, right? I think we demand quick communication, we demand convenience, um, and we need personalized service, right? Like you just said, you adjusted your offering to be more tailored to that specific customer. We're not just going to say, hey, we're going to come in and we're going to paint all the highest end paint for you. It may not be the right homeowner for that, right? You're tailoring and you're customizing your offering so that you don't need to you're not going to get undercut because you have the reputation, you have the ability to provide a fantastic end product. They may not need the gold standard in paint. Maybe they need level C, but now we can still go get the job. And I think that's really important to be, to personalize an experience for the customer. That's really cool, man. I love it. I love that you're leaning into social media. I think social media, everybody's on it. My mom's on it. That's how where my mom gets most of my pictures of my kid is from Instagram, right? And I get in these portals, like a lot of people, whether it's pool cleaning or it's painting videos, and there's such a great opportunity for brands to build your brand, but also drive job opportunities. So I
Correct.
think it's really cool.
Like I said, I from 2013 till 2018, I never spent a penny, not a red dime. I never had anything out in front of my job site saying. And then I learned from a very good from a good friend of mine of, you know, people want to know who you are. I went through a whole little thing between 2019 and 2020. Like I went through COVID. COVID was the greatest thing to ever happen to me. That's my personal thing. But I learned through a friend of mine. He's a marketing expert, and people want to know you. People want that recognition. You got to put your
Yeah,
brand recognition in front of them.
spot on.
And I took that and I said, you know what? I reworked my logo. I you know, rebranded the fresh start logo, everything. And ever since then, all I do is I put my name out on everything I see. Every single one of my job sites have has signage out in front of it. Um, every single, we're all everybody's wearing branded shirts and sweatshirts. Even my pants, even my painter's pants, I have them. I have the that the guys wear. It has my logo
Love
in
it.
them. So everything has. I mean, that's everything has my branding in it.
Builds
That's a big.
credibility. It builds brand exposure, right? And it's like there's this trust
That's
that they see you on
that's it.
Instagram, they see your brand around. Who are you? Who are they going to think about when they need a painting job done? They're going to think about
Correct.
Fresh Start, right? I love it.
Correct. That's it. You know, um, and yeah, that's a very that was something I took and I was like, okay,
It's phenomenal.
let's go,
I love
let's
it.
go.
A lot of people need to adopt that, and that's a great lesson for sure. Shifting lenses a little. We talked a little bit about marketing. Social is such a great way to drive, education on your products, brand exposure, opportunities for jobs. Let's shift a little bit to more technology and how you operate and run your business, right? How do you balance being in the field while also working on growing the business? And what's been the hardest part about making that shift?
That's the hardest. That is the hardest. I mean, getting between the estimates and the payroll and the everything. The whole thing is having a support system behind you. That's it. Having people behind you, having people out in the field, having people out there. The back end of the business is the key of the whole business. So, for a while, for a while I had an office, I had office staff, I had everything, and then it was back to me. Everything was on me, and now we're rebuilding up that whole back office infrastructure. Whether it be people working remotely, whether it be people working in the office, utilizing different programs. It's be about a year ago. I started using a program a little over a year ago, which has been life. It's been literally life changing. I have everything in one port, everything in the portal, everything goes in there from CRM to to invoicing to connecting to taking payments. Everything goes through the
Love it.
system. I'll give it. I'm using Houzz Pro.
Nice.
Um, it they're unbelievable. I put in plans in there. I go into the job sites. I take out my phone. I just pop pop it open and I start scanning the room and I take full 3D. I take a full 3D rendering of the room, which I get back to the office. I come up. I have all the information without taking out the tape measure, and I have to I have to double check everything and make sure everything's okay without spending hours and hours and hours and hours, going through and measuring everything with the tape measures and everything. It makes
Spot
life
on.
so much easier.
People, it's been an interesting shift in this industry specifically where it hasn't been technology focused, right? And a lot of stuff has been done on a yellow notepad and pen and paper and spreadsheets, right? And now
Yeah,
you've been able to adopt a platform that allows you to go and build your business and get through the day to day so much more effectively. That's such a key advice, and that's something we talk to all the time. Is we need to find a platform that allows you to operate your business and don't spend time doing mundane day to day things. And I'm curious, when you look at your day to day, I mean, you have a platform in place. What processes still today feel way too manual or time consuming?
Estimates.
Estimates.
Estimates are the. I mean, but at the end of the day, you gotta cross your crosses your X's and dot your I's and cross your T's, dot your I's. That's the saying. Um, but you gotta be on top. I mean, you gotta be on top of the estimates. You gotta get them out as fast as possible. You gotta be on top of it. And yeah, that's the thing. I mean, after a long day, being out in the field, going from job to job, and then you just getting back to the office, and then next thing you know, your wife is calling you. When are you coming home? It's bedtime. You're trying to juggle being a father and being a business and being a business operator at the same time, and being a husband, and you want to keep your wife happy. So it's that's definitely the hardest part. That was a very big adjustment for me, um going from single life to married life to dad life. I mean, that was a very big adjustment because I single life for me, work was my life.
That's all you do. Yeah.
That's all. I would work. I would sleep 2 hours a night, if even. I mean, I'd be working. I'd be up in the office all night, every night. I would either be that or out partying and then going back to
Sure.
work. It was
Sure.
it was one of the two.
Right.
It was you're either working or partying and whatever it was, and you didn't have the responsibilities of having a wife and a child, and you didn't have those responsibilities. Now we're having those other responsibilities of having somebody that you got to go home to. You can't just be out working all night. um that
So
was a very big adjustment for me.
curious for you, where has technology helped with that? Help you take the stress or the weight off your shoulders to operate and run the business, and where do you wish it could do more of that? Right. Um,
um so
curious.
technology so there's a lot of different things. I I just started exploring like an AI, um a AI it's like kind of like an AI back office type of thing, which ad popped up on Instagram the other day. So I was like, let me try it out. Pretty much what it does is you have somebody that it's an AI software that does your socials, it does your emails, it does all that stuff. It does everything for you. And so I was like, okay, let me test it out. I just started it yesterday. So I'm in the beginning stages of it. So I want to see on how that's gonna, it's pretty exciting. Like, let me see how this will help me and help me grow and help me move forward without having a lot of stresses. But yeah, I mean, a big part of it is, just being, there are days you're just out on the road all day and you get back and you're like, oh, I just want to sit down, go relax, take a nap, like hungry, go to sleep, like whatever. But there's still a lot of it that's just, you know, it's I don't think technology can do what, you know, technology can't be out on
Job
five
sites.
different job sites a day. Actually, you can have people taking pictures and having a job, but if you don't see it yourself, you don't put your eye on it and see things, that is the key. I mean, then things are getting passed along. People need to see they need to see your face around. That's a big thing. I see all these like all these things that come up on Instagram, all these ads. I run a painting company doing $3 million a year, and I work remotely. I never
Yeah.
I I once had a phone call. I once had a phone call with one of these guys, and yeah, we did this and that, and we'll help you grow and scale, and you never have to work. I'm like, it doesn't
That's
work.
not who you are. That's not your business. You want to be in front of your customers. You want to be your
Correct.
brand, right? And
You need to be in front of your customers. You need to see. You need to make sure that the product that is being put out is being done properly. Um, Everything, all the processes and the procedures are being done properly. You can have the best employees in the world. Thank God I have amazing employees. That's that's the main thing, having amazing employees. But you still, if you're not there, if your eye is not seeing it, you're not. Things are being done with that shouldn't be done,
I
being
think it's
done.
such a good point. And that's where, in the theme of technology, the theme of AI, right? AI is this buzzword everybody's talking about. It's interesting. I've been in the AI space since it really started. It was in its little baby infant phase, and it's evolved so much. And at first, people were worried, oh, it's going to take a bunch of jobs. Well, it's not taking service jobs because AI is not going to come and paint a house, right? But what AI can do, and it's so accessible now, is help you do the things that you have to do to help run and operate your business automatically, so you can focus on your customer and on your end result, on your product. What we talked about, back office, we talked about driving leads and jobs and scheduling appointments and financials, accounting, analytics. All these things is where technology can help you operate if you are focused on your customer. And I think that's where the massive opportunity is, and that's where really the future of how home services businesses can scale efficiently. Let's not go hire 10 people to manage the back office. Technology can do a lot of the grunt work, and then we'll fill in the gaps with humans, right? And it lets you, as the owner, the founder, the face of the business, be the face of the business, right?
Right. I mean, we're seeing that with all these mass layoffs right now. All these big companies. I mean, UPS laying off 20, 30,000 employees. This one, Amazon laying off 15,000 employees. All these employees that it's jobs that, back office jobs that AI is just taking over.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, people are losing. Yeah, there are a lot of jobs being lost because of it. Um, but we're living in a time that you can sit on your couch and make money by figuring something out. I mean, if you have half a brain, you can figure out how to drop ship something and start open up a thing, and then instead of making $52,000 a year working for one of these companies, or whatever
Yeah.
it is, $48,000 a year
Yeah.
working for one of these companies, you can make yourself 100 grand a year by just sitting on your couch and doing things. I mean, there's plenty of things that people can they can figure out. They can work out. They can everything. I mean,
And that's
there's
the foundation of this podcast and what we talk about with our customers is you go run your business, do what you're good at, right? And fill in the gaps with technology. Let me help you. Let's talk about ideas for other owners and people in the space. You're an industry leader in your area, and it's awesome, and you have a great brand, right? And that's the concept of this is how can we leverage technology to help you grow and let you focus on what you need to focus on and take the burden off of owners and operators to focus on growth, automate all the things, and it's very accessible, and it's a really cool opportunity for owners like you and what you're trying to do and what you're starting to adopt. A lot, a big struggle, what we're finding is people know that it could be useful. It's just like, how do I implement it? Where is it going to be useful, right? Where's their low hanging fruit that I can automate? I'm not a technology guy. I own a painting business, nor should you be a technology person. So that's the biggest challenge,
but
is where do we
I see a lot in the industry. There's a lot of guys out there. They're old timers. There's a lot of old timers out there still, and they're still running their businesses the old timer way. They have their client. They have their client base. They're not out promoting themselves. They're not out. They've been around for 30, 40, 40 plus years. Some of these guys, 50 years, whatever it is, and they run their business and everything. But now, like now, they're coming to that age of, okay, like Do I have a child that wants to take it over? If the child isn't already in the business with them now, then
Do I sell it?
who are they leaving it? Who are they leaving this business over to? So, there's I've gotten several calls from people over the last, let's say, 4 months telling me, I'm 67, I'm 68, I'm 70 years old. I'm planning on retire. Would you like to buy out my client list and my name, whatever the name rights and whatever it is of it? I'm like, okay, how much? Like, how much do you want? How much do you want for it? They tell me, okay, what about your equipment? What about your men? What about the other thing? Like, okay, like whatever, let's figure it out. Let's figure out something out. But a lot of it is like guys that they just have a client. All they have is a book of business.
Yep. They have no
You
technology. They have
know,
no ecosystem.
that's it. There's zero technology, zero whatsoever. They have a book of business. They have the clients that they've been servicing for the last 40 years. Um, and that's it. And now, you know, okay, let's call. So is it worth? Somebody came to me and said, I'm planning on retiring in February, um, and I'm selling. Um, Okay, how much do you want? He told me, okay, I want $25,000. Okay, what is that $25,000 getting me? I asked him. He said, it's giving you my book of business and my name. I said, all right. So let me see your book of business. I know that this guy. He has a very nice book of business in in a very niche
Hmm.
field. So I said, okay, let's discuss, let's explore it. But he's a owner he's a owner operator. I mean, it's him and like maybe two other guys, and you know that's it. So his business is him. That people are hiring because they've been dealing with him for the last, and that you have that a lot with, you know you
Spot
have
on.
that in this business. You're dealing your relationship is, it's not just a one and done. Okay, you're not seeing the person. No, you're seeing the person. You're interacting with them. You're talking to them. You're getting to know them on a personal level. These people are your customers for 20, 30, 40 years
Yep.
down
And
the
they've
line.
relied on it, and it's worked. And it's interesting. We have these conversations a lot, actually, and with clients and whatnot, and they're looking to sell their business. Do you know how much? I mean, that's an attract. You get their leads, you get their name, sure. There's a different attractiveness to younger owners and founders like you, where if I could go in and buy a business that has a technology stack that's operating the business already, and it's a growing business, it's very attractive to somebody to come in and buy, right? Where yeah, you're going to pay for some leads, and that's great, and that's fantastic. We're seeing the shift where people are looking now to spice up their offering a bit and have a business that's really running. And it's just in this industry, it's been a little bit later adopting. Um, there's a huge opportunity to do that. I'm curious. We have 2 more minutes left. If you were to predict, what will the top performing home services companies be doing differently in the next 3 to 5 years? Like, how are you going to continue to differentiate? How are you going to continue to improve and stand out?
It's all about utilizing the new technologies that are coming to the market. That's one. Two is being able to adapt to the times that we're in. I mean, granted, a lot of right now, this last 10 months has been scary. I mean, I've had a lot of employees that, they were afraid to come to work on
Sure,
days.
sure.
I had guys that were, they went to go get breakfast in the morning, and then they saw what was going on, and they just like jetted out of there. I mean,
Yep,
I've
yep.
got so, there's a lot of guys that are out, when you're dealing with, it's going to be a shift on how people work. That's a very big thing. Like in the painting business, you're dealing with a lot of immigrants for your employees. I find that you're not finding kids that are 18, 19, 20, 24, 25 years old that want to go out and start working the ground up, um,
Hmm.
pushing a brush. They're not going to go and they're not going to sit and be sanding
Yep.
their fingers bleeding from sanding all day. Um, unless you're born into it, you're not. Kids today, they're not. I don't see them really doing it. I see in different fields it becoming more popular for younger kids getting into. I see in the um, HVAC, electric, plumbing. I see in those fields mechanic. Those fields are getting more, you know, more popular. Vocational, like those, like people are going into that business, going like they're working in those businesses more. But in my field, like you're not finding kids out of high school, kids out of college that want to actually work with their hand, physically work with their hands, or have the patience to
Right.
physically work with, the attention span. That's a big thing of having the attention span because you know kids today they're attached to their phones all day long.
Mm.
So I deal with it a lot. Like I walk in and I see, there's no way to stop it. At one point, I made a rule like the guys had to put their phones in a bin every day. Like I'm gonna take away the phone. Like this was 10 years ago. Like whereas now it's to a point of like you can't. Everyone's on their phone all day, but kids today they're so attached to their phones um, that and they don't want to get their hands dirty.
Yeah. It's
Pretty
interesting
much.
you said that, and and it. I think the summary. I think this has been awesome. I think there's a couple takeaways that I've learned and love to discuss. Is your origin story was a really good brand, high end brand. But it was operating a little old school, and you've evolved. It's always evolving. Everything you've talked about is continuing to adapt and innovate and evolve the business. Whether it's your brand, how you're marketing to your consumer or your customer on social media, evolving with your technology, evolving your workforce and expectations there. I think that's the main trend I'm hearing is your focus and what's made you so successful is you're not afraid to change. You're not afraid to innovate and look at areas of, just because it worked 5 years ago doesn't mean it's going to work tomorrow. I think that's a
Yeah,
really, really cool lesson.
yeah, that's it. And you know, going back like to different things, like when we first started getting into, especially like with for in particular like dustless sanding, like my dad kept on looking. Oh, it's so expensive. These machines are so expensive. Everything's so expensive. The greatest investments ever because we save so much money and everything like down the line of of having these machines and having these products and having these things that it changed the whole game. And it's the same thing. It's but a big I see that unless you have people that are coming out of kids coming out of high school, kids coming out of college, that they want to get their hands dirty. Unless you start having that, you need people that to be coming in and a workforce that is willing to get their hands dirty. Unfortunately, most of most of like our generation, we grew up with like, oh, you don't want to have to work with your hands. You want to have to work with your brain. That's what I was always, that's what I was always told. You don't want to have to push a brush like I had to push a brush. You don't want to have to work with your hands. You don't have to do. You're gonna go to college. You're gonna get a job. You're
Corporate
gonna go get
job. Yeah.
a corporate job. You can go to law school. You can go get a job on Wall Street. Whatever it is, you're gonna do. You're not gonna want. You're not. You don't want to have to work. You don't want to have to sweat your brains off to go work. And
It's so funny. I think
And
that what kids are going to realize though soon is that going that route or going the technology route, whatever, always isn't always lucrative. But there's a lot. Home services businesses aren't going anywhere. Painters, plumbers, HVAC, electricians,
correct,
they're gonna make a lot of money. There's a massive money opportunity. Kids nowadays, they want to make money. And that's what we need to shift is like this education on what the opportunity is in this market, in this space. It's big.
correct, correct. And but the thing is finding people, finding kids that are going willing to start at the bottom
Yeah.
and
Learn.
work and learn.
Mm,
And the key is as they learn, being able to incorporate, because a lot of kids say they're smart and they want to once they get to a certain thing, okay, they think they reach their plateau, they have no future here, they want to jump out, get out, start their own thing. I don't want to work for $52,000 a year. I want to be making $150,000 a year. The key is to be able to take these young kids, train them, and be able to retain them and incorporate them into your business.
yep. Spot on. I love it, man. I love it. Okay, this was a blast. Again, wrap the bow on this thing. Fresh Start Painting, New Jersey. Incredible name, incredible brand. Follow you on social. What's your social handle? And I'll share
Fresh
it.
Start Painting Co.
Fresh
on
Start Painting
Instagram.
Co. We do everything from high end, but we're also going to tailor our offering to you. We're going to provide the best work, the best paints, best service to our customers, and we're going to continue to evolve. This is
From
awesome, man. I appreciate the time here,
Thank you.
and we'll wrap this up.